after me. I don't give a...
Hey guys, welcome back on this lovely Saturday. I don't know if you'll be seeing this on Saturday, but it's 90 degrees here in Vegas. So got in a good heavy leg workout. And there's Apollo. So many of you guys might know this comedian that I'm going to be. He did his name is Issac Butterfield. He's Australian. He's highly offensive to a lot of people. Most of his stuff I think is pretty funny, and he's just not politically correct, and so he finds very easy targets with a lot of groups. So he did a video on thin privilege, and it's titled 20 reasons healthy people are privileged over fat people. And I don't know if that's his title or the title of the video he's reacting to. So hopefully he doesn't hit me for copyright for this.
Welcome back to the second channel, the Buttsman 2. If you haven't subscribed, we just hit 50,000 subscribers. So please, subscribe if you wouldn't mind. It makes me finally feel better about myself for my shortcomings in life. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we are looking at, and I've got it right in front of me, from everydayfeminism.com, 22 examples of thin privilege.
So he and feminists butt heads all the time, but he just, if they wouldn't fall for it, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Ladies and gents, I've been very outspoken, as have a lot of other
Look at his back here. His Mona Lisa is him.
people on the internet, all about body positivity and thin privilege and fat phobia and all of these.
Okay, I do have to say, the first time I heard the word thin privilege, the words, I had a visceral reaction because I've been 310 pounds and I've been 120 pounds. And I have had everything from when I was fat to the fat jokes and the comments and the whatever. And then when I was 120 pounds, it was, why don't you eat a cheeseburger? And then now that you're starting to be able to tell that I'm getting more heavily muscled. I've had people in my DMs on my Tia Talks Instagram telling me to be careful. I'm starting to look like a man. And so, everyone has something to say. So this will be
brand new terms that people need to contend with on a daily basis, and that's why I thought I would have a look at this particular article. Now, this was sent to me just the other day, but it was also created in 2012. It's nearly 10 years old. So obviously this has been something people have been talking about for quite some time. So, shall we?
We shall.
Through mass media, we've been bombarded with messages that the normal size is actually thin. And this assumption that you need to be thin in order to be okay, and normal gets played out frequently for people who are bigger than.
I mean, I was always the bigger kid, always. And I remember being 6 years old and I weighed 100 pounds, if that gives you any context for that.
And normal. If you have been a normal size your whole life, you may never have thought of the benefits of being thin, but sizeism is very prevalent, and it's one of the most accepted isms in our society. Ooh yes, we all like a good old ism every now and then, don't we, big fellas? So the following are examples of thin privilege that we see.
Okay, so now we're getting into the list of examples. So we'll go by one and see what we think
on a daily basis. Number one, you're not assumed to be unhealthy just because of your size. So people just assume that if...
Okay, so here's the thing with that. The people that I have spoken to in the health at every size camp will say this, and while that is true, I mean, usually their doctor's not going to look at someone who's a healthy BMI and immediately go after your size and say, well, if you lost 10 pounds, you gained 10 pounds, whatever, you would not have this ailment that you're coming to see me for. However, as someone who is 310 pounds, I can tell you that almost every time I went to the doctor for something, my weight was related to said problem. You know, if your lower back is hurting, you're carrying too much weight. If your knees are hurting, also could be from too much weight. Now, I understand that there are there are exceptions to that rule, and there are some doctors who are, anybody can be a jerk. I've had doctors be jerks to me now, who don't understand the chronic illnesses I have and don't understand, well, why are you on this medication? Well, why are you taking that? And I'm just like, did you not look at my chart before you came in here? So yeah, I do get that. But at the same time, if your BMI is over 50, the chances are you are suffering from something due to that. Something came up recently with the vaccine, and the CDC posted on their website, and I'm going to pop it up here. The CDC posted on their website that obese people are only seeing a 45% efficacy in the vaccine, whereas everyone else is seeing 90 plus, right? So does that mean that pharmaceutical companies should now pour billions of dollars of research funds into creating a vaccine only for obese people? I keep waiting to see a video on it to see if anybody actually says that, because that's not the solution. The solution is to get yourself to a healthy weight. So that would be silly to take billions of dollars of research funds to do that. So let me know what you guys think of that.
If you're thin, then you're healthy, which we know isn't overly correct. But in a lot of circumstances, it is. Mm-hmm. It's a good indicator of health if you are fit looking. Now, there is a difference between being fit and being thin. I think it's very common right now to see, particularly with young women, that they have moved past the early 2000s thin image of what it is to be a woman, and now they're onto the fit image. You see a lot of chicks in, gym wear and all that type.
I do hope that that's a trend that we're going to see more of, is being fit, and that's the look we want. I know a lot of people really are into, the big butt look that the Kardashians seem to have started or championed, but no pun intended. Those results for most of those girls on TV are surgical, and they're fat transplants. If you have a big butt and your legs are this big around, there's probably not your God-given ass. But I do hope that we do see more people in the gym, and we do see people wanting to live a fit and healthy lifestyle. I know for me, this is such a part of who I am, and I like myself like this. I like myself strong. Apollo does too. I don't know if you guys can hear, the microphone's picking it up, but he's down here making noises at me. But this, I'm able to do so much more. When I went on vacation in February, I was able to do all of the physical activities that I had not been able to do. And I was skinny fat back then. So people might have looked at me and said, well, she can go do that hike or do it. And I was not physically capable. I was skinny, but I certainly wasn't healthy.
Stuff. It's all about being healthy. And I think that's wonderful. But the idea here that you are unhealthy just because you're fat, I'm sorry, but it's pretty spot on. Most people who are obese are very unhealthy. And
here's the thing, too, that, when I was 310 pounds, my blood pressure was 90/60, and my cholesterol was normal. If you looked at a metabolic panel on me, things were normal. Here's the thing. They're not going to stay that way. If you continue, I had youth on my side then. If you continue to eat like crap and treat your body like crap, it's going to catch up with you eventually. When I had been probably 13 or 14 years out from having had lost my weight, and I was I think 160 pounds at the time. I developed type 2 diabetes, and I was like, are you kidding me right now? And I had to go on medication. Medication made me sick. Went back to my endocrinologist, and he said, oh, well, let's take you off this medication and let's put you on insulin. And I was like, there's no way in hell you're going to get me on insulin. I'm like, I will tweak my diet and I'll start walking to add exercise into it. So he laughed at me, and I said, put the order in for me to have my hemoglobin A1C checked in 3 months, and I'll be back. Came back, my A1C was 4.9. And he said, in 20 years of doing this, I've never seen anybody actually do what they said. So you abusing your body will catch up with you eventually.
That's just the way it is, okay? And that doesn't mean that you're going to die at an early age. It just increases your chances, because thin people die all the time, right? But it just increases your chances that you're going to die of something like diabetes or heart disease or something like that. They are risk factors that, whether or not you feel it's an ism to deal with, they're real risk factors. So fucking, I don't know, watch out, fatty. It is a thin privilege. Your size is probably not the first thing people notice about you, unless you're being thin shamed, the opposite of fat shamed. Okay.
Okay, so I know a lot of us watch a few particular ladies here on YouTube who can't seem to lose the weight, and they keep gaining weight. And, you know, I've talked to some friends of mine who are European, and they say, you know, I have never actually laid eyes on someone in the same space in a room with me that was 400, 500, 600 pounds. It is really difficult not to notice somebody of that girth. The opposite is true. If someone like Eugenia Cooney at 75 pounds walked in, you're going to notice that. You know, I have really red hair. When I walk into a room, people usually notice that. Do I care? No. You know, I want to walk into a room and have people go, damn, she's yoked. That's fine. You know, people notice my hair. They notice my tattoos. Like, it does. If you look a little different than societal norms, people are going to notice you. And if you're 400, 500, 600 plus pounds, that's way out of the societal norms, and people are going to notice you. Conversely, if you weigh 70 pounds, people are going to notice you. Like, this is, I don't know.
Unless you're extremely thin, I'm sure people aren't going to notice that. And if you are extremely thin, then that's not good either. You should be eating enough calories to maintain a healthy body weight. Now, do you decide what your body weight is by your BMI? No. Because according to my BMI, I'm severely obese, right? I'm 107, 108 kilos, and that for my height is way too fat, right? I should be about 91 apparently. But that's insane. And I'm not trying to talk about how fucking jacked I am.
But I know what he's about to say, because this is what I was going to say. When you when you're more muscular, then you are going to weigh more, because muscle takes up less space, and therefore you basically think of it like you can cram more into a smaller space than you can fat. Fat is much more voluminous, you know, and just being more muscularly dense. I don't think I'm in the overweight or obese category right now, but I mean, I think I'm like 5 pounds away from overweight. Whatever, you know, I still can fit into a US size 4 dress. Bless you. And the last pair of jeans I bought was a 28-inch waist. So, you know, like my shirts are mediums or small sometimes, so I'm not too concerned about that.
But the BMI doesn't allow for anything to do with muscle mass or bone density or any of those type of things. So you need to go and look at things like DEXA scans and all that shit to work out what your healthy body weight is. Point being, if you can just eat calories to the point where you are maintaining a healthy body weight, then you should be fine. If you're too skinny, eat a little bit more. If you're too fat, eat less. When you're at the grocery store, people don't comment on your food selection and the cart in the name of trying to be healthy.
Never in my life has that ever happened? I have never seen that. No one's ever done that to me. And if so, I challenge, absolutely challenge whoever said this as bullshit. Bullshit.
Helpful. Well, maybe you fucking need it. Number 4, your health insurance rates are not higher than everyone else.
Okay. So if you have insurance through work, for example, it's group health insurance. They don't do a health questionnaire. They don't check your height and weight. They don't whatever. It's group health insurance. Everybody gets the same group rate. A single person is this much. A family is this much, whatever. Now, if you're buying private health insurance, it's just like going and getting car insurance and they run your driving history. And if you get a speeding ticket twice a month, your rates are going to be higher because you're a crappy driver. So the statistics have shown that if you are morbidly obese, I'm so sorry, I need to sneeze. If you're morbidly obese, the likelihood of you using that insurance and needing medication, hospitalization, urgent care visits, MRI, CT, all this stuff is much higher. You are a higher risk. So the way that insurance companies work is they have to measure the risk that you pose. That's it. It's not meant to be mean.
Else's. So this is about being thin. It's a thin privilege to not have high insurance rates. But that's the same with, say, for example, we've just had all these floods in New South Wales here in Australia. If you live in a floodplain, you're going to pay more insurance than people who don't live in a floodplain because floods are going to be more prevalent. In the exact same mindset of, well, if you're going to be really obese, then you're probably going to spend more time in hospital than someone who's quite fit. Huh? Number 5, you can expect to pay reasonable prices for your clothing. Well,
Okay. I've heard this argument from fat women. I have never heard a man complain. I've heard fat women complain. And they say, here's this shirt in a size medium, and here's this same shirt by the same maker, the same fabric, same color, everything in a 3X. And this one is 20% more. Well, no shit. It takes more material, it takes more thread, it takes more labor to make your 3X versus your size small or medium. Why is that not easily understood? It costs more to make a bigger piece of clothing. That's not mean. It's just what it is. I mean, it's just like, this is lip gloss. It's not mean to say it's lip gloss. That's what it is. I don't understand why people get so upset with that. I really don't. I don't.
you have to use more material to
I swear to God, I didn't watch this before.
make the clothing, then you're probably going to have to pay more, right? Number 6, you can expect to find clothing size sold locally.
Okay, here in the United States, I don't think there's a huge problem finding plus size clothing. We are one of the fattest countries in the world, and our overweight and our obese rate is just ticking upward. I can go to Target right now, and they have a bigger plus size section than they do straight sizes now, which, whatever, that's fine. I know I can go online myself and, like, for example, there's two brands that I really like for workout clothes. I really like Bombshell Sportswear, and then I'm wearing these shorts right now. Jekyll and Hyde, I think they're called. And then Born Primitive. Born Primitive, they sponsor a lot of the CrossFit athletes. They just have really great clothing, and I have to buy those online. I do think there's a couple outlets where I can get some of those brands, but I buy them online because I know my size in those brands. So I think it's great that there are companies, for example, Torrid, who cater to plus size women and men. But even less expensive brands like Torrid, like Fashion Nova, they have all types of, they have a huge plus size section. I don't mean that oxymoronically. They have a vast selection of plus size clothing online. And up to, I think, 5 or 6X. So companies are definitely starting to cater more to plus size. I mean, there are still things I order online because I can't find them locally too. So at least you can get them online.
How is okay? That's not a privilege. Okay, that's just fucking. Just deal with it, dickhead. If you're a fucking 6XL and you blow up because people don't have your size, that's on you, mate. That's not got to do. That has nothing to do with anybody else. That is fucking on you. Another example of thin privilege is you can expect to find clothing in the latest styles and colours instead of colourless, shapeless, and outdated styles meant to hide your body. Well, most people.
Okay. When I was 310 pounds, I worked in an office environment. And I made sure that my clothing, number one, fit properly. I know a lot of people, and thin women do this too, they will buy the size of clothing that they want to be, not what they are in the moment. Or they'll think, I'll lose weight and then I will be this size or that, whatever. Buy for everyone. I don't care what size you are. Buy the size of clothing that you are today. Don't buy clothing that you hope to be in. And then I would have my clothes for work tailored. At the time, this was in the late 90s, early 2000s. I would go twice a year to Macy's and buy, a week's worth of suits, sports coats, blouses, jackets, skirts, pants, and all that. And then because I went over a dollar amount, they would tailor my stuff for free so that I would get them tailored. And yeah, I had a 52-inch waist, so I wasn't looking svelte in anything. So I obviously wasn't looking svelte with a 52-inch waist, but I looked well put together. My clothes fit properly. I wasn't trying to, wear something 4 sizes smaller just because I could zip it. I've often said just because you can zip it doesn't mean it fits. So, yeah, I don't know what to say to that. I just think that it's silly. Most people who are 400, 500, and 600 pounds aren't trying to wear crop tops and booty shorts. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not being very, I don't know. I just don't understand that either. It's like, I don't know how that's a privilege. That sounds like you have an expectation that these manufacturers should be catering, when I've always said, if people feel like that, man, start a business. Start making those plus size clothes. And
people who are extremely obese want to hide their body because they are ashamed of it. I've been in that position, and you don't want to show off your big fucking love handles. That's just the way it is. Number 8, you don't receive suggestions from your friends and family to join weight.
Never. I never got that either. I mean, I would have my family suggest I had gained weight or whatever, but that never happened to me. And if it's your friends or family that you have a very close relationship with, that you know that it's coming from a place of concern and that they love you, maybe you should listen to them.
Watches or any other weight loss program. Okay, it's not nice when people say that, but you need to fucking listen. If everyone's telling you that, it's time to fucking listen to someone and do something about it. Number 9, when you go to the doctor, you don't suspect diabetes or high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or other weight-related diagnosis as the first most likely.
But it's the most logical thing. I would say 70 to 80% of the time, it will be related to that. It will be a complication of your morbid obesity.
Diagnosis. Well, maybe that's why you're crook. Number 10, you don't get told you have such a pretty, handsome face, implying that if you just lost weight.
I did get told that. You have such a pretty face. If you'd lose weight, it would all go together. Thanks. Sorry, God wasted my face on this body.
You could be more attractive. Well, people are being fucking honest, mate. Number 11, people don't assume that you are lazy based solely on your...
I never felt like people thought that because I always worked a lot. My children were very small. I had 3 kids in 3 years. I kept a home. I went to school a lot of the time too, just part-time, and was working full-time. So I never felt like anybody thought that I was lazy. However, I do know employers who will say if I have two applicants come in and they're both equally qualified for a position and someone's 400 pounds and the other person is a normal weight, they will pick the person with the normal weight. And it's because people who are morbidly obese are more likely to need sick days and take time off because they're not well. And that's statistical fact. I mean, it's very easy to Google.
Size. If you are a giant fat fuck, chances are you're lazy. Number 12, you don't get the brunt. You're not the brunt of jokes for countless numbers of comedians.
But it's not just fat people that are brunts of jokes. I mean, it's a whole array of people and groups and whatever, and especially, like shock. They used to, I called Howard Stern like a shock jock, because they want to get in your face. They want to be shocking so that people will talk about them and whatever. I mean, you can offend anybody, any group. And this comedian that we're referring to here, he really comes hard for feminists, really hard.
Listen, if you're thin, if you're very thin, people are going to say you have AIDS until the cows come home. So everyone cops shit. Deal with it. Number 13, airlines won't charge extra for you to...
Okay. This I have a problem with because, the last time when I flew, when I was fat, I bought 2 seats. Why? Number 1, I wanted to be comfortable. And number 2, I wanted the person in my row to also be comfortable because I have, in this last 6 months, been on an airplane where someone probably should have bought another seat and they were in my seat. So I was like this and they could not help but spill into my seat. I wasn't horrible to them. I felt bad for them because they were clearly uncomfortable as well. But if I'm not getting my full seat, should I get a discount because they're taking up more of my seat? That's not fair for the person, for me, sitting like this in my seat, uncomfortable for 6 hours when it all could have been avoided. And here's the thing with airlines. Several airlines just redid the insides of their airplanes where the seats went from, I want to say like 17 inches to 15 and a half. So they're making them smaller. They're not catering to fat people. It's going to get worse.
Fly. If you take up 5 seats, you got to pay extra. Number 14, you are not perceived as looking sloppy or unprofessional based on your size. Well, if you are sloppy...
I mean, if you are sloppy, like I said, I bought business attire for work that was tailored for my body because I didn't want to look sloppy. Make sure your hair is done well. Make sure that you have your makeup, or if you wear makeup, be presentable, be neat and tidy. Yeah, I mean, you know what they're talking about. Like, this is something that is completely nitpicking completely.
You're fucking sloppy, all right? That's just the way.
Anybody can be sloppy.
You eat what you want. Number 15, when you're in public and others don't judge you. Number 16, you can walk out of a gas station with a box of donuts. Well,
wait a minute. So number 15, people don't... I get judged anyway. I mean, last time I went out to a restaurant and ordered Thai food, I ordered a steak salad and I was starving, so I ordered a second one. If you care so much about what people are saying about you or they think about you and they're strangers and you're never going to see them again, don't. It's too much energy to care what other people think. You can walk out of a gas station with a box of donuts and not have people yell at you to, quote, lay off them donuts, fatty. This actually happened. People suck and they're going to say crappy things. Do you know what I mean?
Well, don't. Number 17, you don't have to ask your partners what it's like to have sex with someone of your...
What? Okay, when I was fat, my partner at the time was also fat. No one ever asked me what it was like to have fat sex, so I don't... What it's like... Wow. You need new friends.
Size. Number 18, your body type isn't sexually fetishized.
My red hair is fetishized. My tattoos are fetishized. Women with muscle are fetishized. They will fetishize anything. Feet are fetishized.
Some people like skinny people, some people like fat people. Get over it. Number 19, you're more likely to get a raise or promotion at work than someone who's fat. Yeah, well,
And that is true.
I know it's harder to raise someone who's fat, they're heavier. Number 20, friends don't describe you as using a qualifier. He's kind of heavy, but really nice though. Just because you're fat
You need new friends then.
doesn't make you a
Honestly.
bad person. Number 21, the media doesn't describe your body shape as part of an epidemic. But it fucking...
But it is. Obesity is an epidemic in this country, and it's a preventable epidemic. You know, you don't see morbidly obese patients living into very old age because they don't.
Easy, you idiot. Number 22, you can choose not to be preoccupied with your size and shape because you have other priorities.
I am preoccupied though. You know, like, it doesn't matter. You're going to have hang-ups within yourself. Like I said, this all has to go back to stop giving a crap what strangers think about you. They don't matter in your life. I have often said, if, you know, you're not paying my mortgage or sleeping with me, I don't care. You know, like, don't stop caring about what strangers think of you. It doesn't matter. It's too much energy.
And you won't be judged. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, you can make a list about anything. You can make a list about people with beards, all right? You can 22 things that people with beards have to deal with and they shouldn't because it's hate speech. You can make lists about fucking anything. If you are copying the shit that they're talking about in this list, chances are you're not feeling really great about yourself. But do what I did, all right? Go on a diet, train fucking hard, and don't just go on the diet for a year. Go on it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's one thing that people don't realize is that when you'll hear people in the health at every size movement who will say, you know, diets fail 90-something% of the time. Because you have to make it a lifestyle change. Don't do it until you get to a certain weight, until you get to a certain size or whatever. Because you're right, you'll fail. If you put it in the mindset that this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Now, don't get me wrong. I had a few bites of cheesecake today. It's not going to be the end of me. It's not going to undo all my hard work. It's not going to, do you know what I mean? Like, so thank you for watching the video today, guys. We're going to wrap this up, and I hope that you guys have a great one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
You repeat after me.